Good evening, everybody. I'm Councillor Claudine Russell, the Chairman of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. I'm pleased to welcome you all to the meeting of this committee. This meeting is going to be broadcast live and recorded for playback excuse me, on the Council's YouTube channel. Will anybody else be recording the proceedings?
I withhold my right.
Lovely, thank you. I ask just so that people in the meeting know this is happening. If the fire alarm sounds during the meeting, please remain seated and members of the Democratic Services team will assess the situation and give you further instructions on the evacuation of the building if necessary. Moving on to our agenda then, item 1, apologies for absence. I haven't received any apologies. And item number 2, I can't see that we have any substitute members. Item number 3, we don't have any urgent items. Item number 4, notification of visiting members. Well, we're really privileged tonight because I spot Mr. Mayor in the public gallery. So Councillor Perry.
I'm just here to observe. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. Item 5, can I ask if there are any disclosures from members or officers? No, lovely. Item number 6, can I ask if there are any disclosures of lobbying? Again, that's a no. I propose item number 7, I'm proposing to take all items in public. Is this agreed? Lovely. We've got item number 8, we've got the minutes of your previous meeting, which was held on the 13th of August, and they're on pages 1 to 4 of your agenda pack. Are there any comments on the accuracy of the minutes? No, lovely. So I move that the minutes of the meeting held on 13th of August be approved as a correct record and signed. Is that agreed? Thank you. Okay, item 9, we don't have any petitions this evening. And item 10, we don't have any questions from local residents. Similarly, item 11, we don't have any questions from members. Item 12 then takes us to the Cabinet Forward Plan. This is on pages 5 to 19 of your agenda packs. And I'd like to ask the committee whether there are any items that you'd like to conduct pre-decision scrutiny on. I can't see any indications. I have asked officers if we could have early looks at both the strategic plan and priorities and the budget as they start making their way through Cabinet. So hopefully that's all agreed with everybody. Lovely. So on that basis, I move then that the Cabinet Forward Plan be noted. Is that agreed? Item 13, we are moving on to the committee work programme, which you can find at page 20 of your agenda pack. You can see that we're still waiting on the environmental and waste crime enforcement item, which was supposed to come to this meeting, but is now been slightly delayed and is expected for the October meeting of this committee. And then as we've agreed for our work programme, we've got the section 106 and seal item, which is what we're going to be talking about, how we set that up in the very formative stages tonight. And then later on through the year, we'll move on to the planning enforcement item. Is that all agreed? I move the work programme be noted. Item 14 is the section 106 and seal review update report. So this is the start of our work on this item, and the report is going to be introduced by the Democratic Services Officer. Thanks, Cassie.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. This report outlines what has been agreed so far for the Section 106 and Community Infrastructure Levy Review and asks the committee to consider final lines of inquiry for the scope and to agree how to proceed. A briefing note has been provided and officers are in attendance to answer any questions. The lines of inquiry already included on the scope are suitability of the CIL bidding processes to achieve high-level infrastructure, e.g. education and highways improvement, legal framework around Section 106 in conjunction with CIL to achieve high-level strategic infrastructure and use of Section 106 agreements and the current Section 106 funds to achieve high-level strategic infrastructure. Members may wish to discuss whether these lines of inquiry cover all the areas they want to review. Following further research and informal conversation with the Chairman and Vice Chairman, one suggested additional line of inquiry is SIL funding allocated to parish councils able to be spent effectively, and do non-parish areas have equal representation and capability to access this money? Due to the complexity of the review, the recommendation suggests forming a working group of 5 members with 1 representative from each political group from the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, and makes the following recommendations: that the committee agree how it wishes the review into Section 106 and Community Infrastructure Levy be conducted. It is recommended that this is done via a working group as set out in paragraph 2.7. To agree the scope for the working group to conduct its review following consideration of the information provided and an initial question and answer session with officers. And 3, if the working group model is agreed, that committee members consider the membership of the group and put forward 1 member from each group with the availability to attend working group meetings. We're happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Cassie. And just to let the committee know, we've got Cabinet Member Councillor Harwood here to answer any questions, along with Rob Jarman, Head of Development Management. And we've also got Helen Smith, the Head of Principal Planning Officer, and she's available virtually, just in case you've got any other questions that you want to ask them, if you think we need anything added or anything to do with the scope itself. But obviously, primarily what we're talking about tonight is the formation of a working group and how we want that to go. Because if we don't choose to do it via a working group, then what that means is this committee has to sit every time to look at and decide on all of the information. So that's once a month, and obviously a more formal process. So to move on with the topic more quickly, the Vice Chair and I thought that a working group would probably be the most efficient way of getting the bulk of the work done so that we can move on through the programme. But oh, and sorry, we've been joined by Carol Williams as well, who's the SIL and Section 106 team leader. I'm sorry, Carol, I wasn't sure if you were able to make it, but great to see you're here. Okay, so I've got some points. I've got Councillor Parfitt, Councillor Cook, Councillor Kahili in that order. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I would just like to suggest, because as I understand it, the working group is the chairman, it's 5 including the chairman. I think, having read the papers, I just feel it should be the chairman plus 5, because I think that I just wondered why you were laughing.
Well, I wouldn't have expected anything less from you.
I don't know what that means, but because I just think obviously the chairman of the committee is obviously a neutral position, and so I argue politically balanced, but I don't think that's actually on the table. I'm quite happy to have a member from each. I think that the chairman should be a neutral position plus 5. That's just a suggestion from my point of view. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, anything's on the table because it's our committee deciding what work we do and how we do it. So I don't know, was that a proposal, Councillor Parfitt? Okay, have you got a seconder for that? Councillor Cannon, seconder. Is there any other comments to make on that proposal? Well, I have got a proposal on the table, so we really need to go on that. Go on then, Councillor.
It relates to the standing the group actually has, because I think dependent on the standing that group has is a material thing in relation to what the size should be. So that's why I wanted to ask my question first. It's really a question to the Democratic Services Officer. Is the group effectively an informal member group? In which case, as an informal member group, the group can't make any decisions but we'll refer and come back to this committee with their recommendations, and it will then be for this committee, all of us together, to act on or amend the recommendations from that subgroup. So if I could just have the clarification on that, whether it's actually an informal member group or is actually a subcommittee with terms of reference.
Thank you, Councillor Cook. They're two separate things. So I think what me and the Vice Chair were talking about was a working group, which is an informal working group. And then any work that was done within that working group, their recommendations and their findings would be presented back to this committee. And it's only this full committee that gets to approve, amend, or reject any of those recommendations. A subcommittee is slightly different, but that wasn't what we were talking about. We weren't talking about a working group. Councillor Field.
Thank you, Chair. So first on the numbering, just should there be, for any reason in the working group, a need to vote on what you want to bring back to the committee as a working group, it's a simple majority is easier to work with. In the discussions between myself and the chair with officers, this is a pretty apolitical subject, and both chair and I were keen that the committee take the work forward under its own auspices without having to bother group leaders and get officers doing complicated calculations about financial balance. This is an area of work that the committee as a whole agreed that we wanted to take forward. It affects wards represented by members across the council, and the objective really is to see if Maidstone Borough Council as a whole can improve the leverage it has on the spending of these types of funds. So I think what I would be hoping to see from the committee this evening is simply for interested members who believe that they can give up the time to move the group's work forward at pace, as the chair has indicated, would volunteer to do so. If we're unable to find representatives from each group, then I think we can have a debate around how we can pull together a group that the committee is happy with sensibly this evening, and move forward on that basis. And as has been described, I think our anticipation was that the formal consideration and any recommendations to Cabinet or Council that came forward would be subject to the review of the full committee of any findings of the working group. I hope that helps to frame people's considerations a little.
Thank you, Councillor Field. Yeah, I think that framed it really well. And I know that you're waiting patiently, Councillor Mackay. I was just going to say that hopefully when you were talking about adding extra information in, that's why we've added the bit in about the non-parished areas still as well, because that was something that came to light when we were talking about this topic initially. Now, patiently waiting, Councillor Mackay.
I think the original proposal to take one member from each political group took the politics out of this. This is it will not be a deciding group. And I take your point, Councillor Field, that if you can't get someone from a particular, anyone coming forward from a particular group, then we should look outside that. But first of all, I think we should look at the original proposal, which was one person, one volunteer, hopefully, one volunteer being better than one press man or woman, coming forward, and keep it simple.
Thank you, Councillor Mackay. We have got a proposal on the table, which was, as I understand it, to amend it to 5, one from each political group plus the chair, and it's been seconded, so we need to move to a vote on that. So have you got votes in favour of that proposal? Votes against? Okay, thank you, everybody. That falls. So were you making that as an alternative proposal, Councillor Mackay? It's just the
I think I was supporting your original proposal.
Thank
Yes,
you.
if it
Okay.
comes to it, we don't get the volunteers from each political group. We may have to come back to that, but so I will willingly propose your proposal.
Great. So just for clarity then, we're going to vote on now whether we should have the working group, which is with 5 members, which is 1 from each of the political parties, just so that everybody is sure. If you can't make the working group for any reason, please do send a sub. But if you're sending a sub, please make sure that you've got them all up to speed on where we are, because it would be good that we don't have to revisit right from the start if we've got a sub working with us. So votes in favour of that then, 5. Okay, votes against? Abstentions? Okay, that is carried. Thank you, everybody. So we're going to move forward on this topic with a working group, 5 people. The only thing I would ask now, oh, sorry, Councillor Kahili, yeah, go for it.
Thank you. I just wanted to check, the meeting is during the day. Would that be in person or would that be Teams?
I think it's up for the working group to decide. So once everyone's put their people forward, then they can discuss it. But we do need to make sure that we have obviously our democratic services help. So it will be more than likely within the daytime hours so that we can get officers help as much as possible. So please do think about that with the person that you're putting forward onto the working group. If you could possibly email the person that you're putting forward to Democratic Services, myself and the Vice Chair, that'd be great. And then we can organise our diaries and go from there. Okay, lovely. That's all we had for the business for tonight. I think I might have achieved a record there. Have I achieved a record, everybody? So thank you all for your attendance. I now declare this meeting closed.
Sorry, I know the meeting's closed. When do we, who do we submit